You're listening to the Transform Your Nutrition podcast with your hosts, Rebecca Heald and Jeff Ash. Our purpose is to help individuals and families transform their relationships with food and develop healthy bodies, minds, and attitudes, all without restriction, guilt, or shame. All right, so we are here for another episode. How are you doing today?
I'm okay. Busy day today and weekend because it's my sister's birthday today.
Yeah.
And then it's my big 4-0 tomorrow. So yeah, it's all been go. So it's great to just have the time to kind of chill out with a cup of tea and record this podcast with you.
Yeah.
It's like my cool time.
Well, it's finally good that you are now finally reaching adulthood when you hit 40. That's really just the beginning as far as I'm concerned.
This is the last day in my 30s.
Yeah.
Does this mean tomorrow I've got to actually adult?
Yes, you do. Well, no, I don't know. I still haven't, and I turned 50 in October. So I'm not sure when you are required to start adulting, but yeah, so far I've managed to avoid going all in on that anyway.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I've got at least another 10 years of it then.
Yep.
And in 10 years, my kids can look after themselves.
Exactly.
So I think I might regress.
Yeah. So we have an interesting topic that we thought we would just talk about a little bit today. And this is one that I think it comes up we have these conversations all the time, whether it's just casually on our LinkedIn Lives that, by the way, we do on Mondays. So make sure to follow us over there on LinkedIn for that. But then also on podcasts, we just often will throw in sort of anecdotes, share a little story about maybe a client and something that's gone on with them. And that's this idea of kind of monitoring progress and recognizing progress in ways that don't involve the scale and even that don't involve tape measure, because I think it's easy for people to say, oh, yeah, I don't worry about the scale. I just measure myself every week. So, but it's still kind of the same thing because if those measurements don't move in the direction you want, then it's easy to get discouraged or to start doing things, manipulating your diet in ways that are not really conducive to your long-term plan. And so, both of us have talked about kind of the perils of focusing on the scale and those kinds of things. And so we thought we'd talk a little bit about some different things that we like to look for in clients when it comes to progress. And hopefully these will be some things that maybe will inspire some of you all who are listening to kind of look at other ways to monitor your progress and to recognize, success. And we put that in quotes that don't have anything to do with objective changes in the size or shape of your body.
Yeah, absolutely. Many, there are it's kind of quite ironic that we kind of tend to get so caught up on just that one metric, scales, because there are so many other things that are indicative of progress and things that, are at the end of the day, actually, are conducive more to your happiness and your improved mental health, etc. So yes, because without going too much into it, of course, focusing too much on the scales can have such a negative impact on the way that we feel about what we're doing and our own kind of beliefs and self-worth, etc. So I think looking at but again, going off a little bit here, that sometimes it's difficult. I don't think there's been a single client that hasn't come to me that has struggled with this, let's not focus on the scales, that's all, because it's all they've ever known. I mean, I was talking to her today and she's in her 60s. And she said, for the first time, she goes, when I first came to you, Rebecca, I didn't think it was possible. And we've been working together 4 months. And she said, for the first time ever, the scales just don't matter. It doesn't, they don't mean anything. It doesn't matter what I weigh. It's about how and we'll go into this, won't we? But, it's about how I feel and everything else. And she said, that's the first time in 62 years, well, since, maybe not in 62 years, because I'm sure the scales bother her so much when she was a baby. But, it's the first time in her, that she can remember not being controlled by the scales, not feeling that, and she said to me, for the first time ever, I feel like I'm not trying to control my food. I'm not trying to control my body. my body, it's just amazing in terms of the impact it's had on her mental health.
Yeah, definitely is. And I think both of us have seen that in ourselves as well as others who sort of adopt that mentality, whether they're clients or friends or family members or just people maybe that we interact with on social media and those kinds of things. So what's one of the your favorite sort of, I guess, metrics, if you will, or ways of recognizing progress in either clients or in other people? Maybe something that kind of excites you when you see that progress.
Yeah, see, it really, really does vary because it depends. It really, really does depend on the client.
Yeah.
But usually, one of the things is to think about. So there's two things really, two broad things that I kind of unpick with clients in terms of seeing where progress is being made. One is how they're feeling, and one is what they're thinking. Yeah. So obviously, if they are feeling more energized, they are feeling, they're feeling like they're back in charge of things. If they're feeling like they can focus better, they're not procrastinating as much. If they're feeling more positive about things, then and also as well, one massive indicator for me is when people say that they're feeling calm. They feel like there's not so much going on in their heads anymore. Their brain is not kind of so messy, and that brain fog has cleared almost.
Yeah.
So, the feelings of energy, the feelings of calm, the feelings of confidence. When my clients are feeling confident, not only in their own skin, but also in their decisions. I've had clients that have come to me and their weight, for quite a long time has probably pretty much maintained. And yet, through the work that we've done together, they are talking about themselves and looking in the mirror and feeling so much more positive and liking their bodies so much more than they did when they came to work with me, even though there's been very little physical change. It's all been going on here.
Yeah.
And when they're telling me that they've got more energy for their family, they're more focused at work, they're more confident at work. Those are all the things that make me feel warm and fuzzy inside. And then it's about, go on. Sorry.
Oh no. Yeah. That's exactly right. And it carries over into other areas of our life, because I think, a lot of us think that when we transform our body, when we change the size or shape of it, that's kind of what diet culture tells us, that then we're going to feel confident and we're going to be more successful and we're going to be happier and all of these things. And we know that just simply changing the size and shape of our body, that doesn't typically happen for people. If they feel that way, it's often sort of a short-lived thing, the initial excitement of reaching this goal, but it will fade if you didn't make those changes that you were describing there, whether it's with a relationship with food, a relationship with your own body, those kinds of things. And so yeah, those I completely agree, and I think it's wonderful to see it carry over into those other areas, your family relationships, your other relationships, your work relationships, how you do your job, your performance in those areas.
Yeah, well, I've had one of my clients, Vic. When she came to me, one of her major motivations was to be, a great mum to her son, and to have time for him and to have energy to run around after him and do all the things that she wanted to do as a mother. And she's achieving all of those things now. Her relationships across the board are better. She's storming at business. And I think it does just seep over to all those other areas of life. Whereas, if you're just focusing on the weight and the scales, that doesn't change who you are, how you think, what you feel like. It's, if anything, it can have an adverse effect, because you realize you can't control that the way that you can control your thinking. You can control. You can those kind of you can't control what your body does. You can't control your feelings as they arise, but you can control how you respond to those. You can control how you think. Okay, so getting so caught up on things that are out of our control can really have a negative impact.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. One of the things that I really like, and this, part of this is being also a personal trainer, is that I like to look at some of the things that people find that they're able to do with their body that they weren't able to do before. And that's another kind of thing I think that builds on what you're talking about there, builds on confidence. So you're building strength in yourself, physical strength, which often carries over into those other areas. And so you may be thinking, well, I don't have the energy to do the things that I want to do, the activities that I want to be involved in, to spend the time with my kids. I need to lose weight. And so we think, okay, I got to get the scale number down, when in fact, you can, not that losing weight's a bad thing. It's just that sometimes you can get there by focusing your attention on other things, and you can get to that, to those goals that you have for yourself, like more energy, the ability to go and do more things in life, to be more physically active, maybe go on hikes. Maybe you've thought, oh, I'd love to be able to go hiking or biking. All of those things can be helped and enjoyed by simply focusing your attention on improving the physical condition of your body, apart from weight loss or the size and shape. So the exercise, just moving your body more, strength training, all kinds of different ways that different people find enjoyment. And that's another great way of monitoring progress too.
Definitely. Feeling stronger, feeling fitter, all of those things are, again, such great, because there'll be a focus. They're a focus again for a lot of my clients. One was saying yesterday, was it yesterday? No, it was Wednesday, about how he's feeling so much stronger, because obviously of the work he's been doing, how he's managing his nutrition around that, the motivation he's got to actually turn up and do that movement now. Same with Vic, who I was talking about earlier. She is, now she's got the confidence and energy to do the things that she wanted to do. She's one of her ambitions, or one of her goals, is to do some strong woman stuff. And she's finding, obviously it's been difficult with the gyms closing and stuff, but before that, and now she's back on it. She's finding, she's progressing there. And, all these things are so much more motivating, so much more, just much more positive, I think, than, focusing so much on the scales all the time. Now, I think it's important to say as well that it's not that we're saying that weight loss should, is not something that, weight loss is often very important to a lot of people. And I'm not taking that away from anybody, but, maybe it's much, much better and much more kinder to your mental health to think about it over a longer period, to look at it in the long term. Yeah, because then looking at it over the long term, you can really think, okay, my behaviors are paying off here.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think for so many people, the focus for so long, and it could be since they were a child, the focus for so long has been on the weight loss and the change of the size of your body and the shape of it, that's where the focal point has been. Even if you've been involved in exercise or other things, it seems that the focus has been on that weight loss part. And by simply shifting off of that for a time and really focusing on other areas, you often find you kind of help fill in some of those gaps that you were lacking when you were so stuck on changing the size of your body and the amount of body fat that you're carrying around. And so it's not that you completely discard that. It's just that you maybe put it on the back, put it on the shelf for a while, or put it on the back burner for a while, and just put your attention in these other areas. And just that shift can introduce some better balance into your life, and a better balance and perspective in how you approach your physical health and emotional health and all of those areas too.
Exactly that. Because, if you're focusing too much on the scales, again, you're going to be thinking, okay, what can I do right this minute that's going to manipulate that number on the scales? I know I'm going to skip a meal. I know I'm not going to eat. I'm not going to go out for that meal. I know I'm going to cut out carbs tomorrow. You're just constantly trying to do those quick, snappy things that are going to make you feel miserable in an attempt to just have an effect on the scales. And it might work, it might not.
Yeah.
So if it doesn't work, you're going to feel worse. If it does work, you're going to think that the reason that you can't lose weight is because you are eating too many carbs or eating too many meals. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And it's so easy to fall back into those. I mean, I still at times think, oh, I had an awful lot of carbs today. And I don't even know why I do that, because I love carbs and I eat a lot of carbs, but it's just, it's been so ingrained in, from our society and our culture that you need to minimize or moderate or reduce certain things. And even though I know that they have no impact directly on what my current goals are for myself, or that they're not going to make me fat, or all of that stuff, it's still those thoughts just pop up in your head, and then you're thinking, where did this come from? But it's just so ingrained in us.
Yeah, I'm quite open and honest about this as well. I say it's not as if, and I've posted about this recently about how, everyone thinks that because we're nutritionists, because we work on behavior change with people, but everyone thinks that, we've got it all figured out and it's perfect for us day in, day out, and we never have this thought. And it's not true. We've got deeply in, we've got beliefs, I definitely still have beliefs deep down buried that will crop up, that will show themselves. And, it doesn't mean that I always act on them now, because I'm better able to be curious about them and think, do I still really think that now? Am I going to just automatically let that drive my behavior? Uh-huh. It's interesting, because I was talking to a client last night, and we were talking about why it is that he tends to overeat foods. Now, don't get me wrong. We all do overeat foods that we really enjoy from time to time. It's normal.
Right.
But this guy, he could sit there and he would eat like a whole packet of Jaffa cakes, or like he'd have a takeaway and he'd say, I would end up just eating all of it. I'd have an Indian takeaway and I'd eat far too much. To the point where it was uncomfortable. And we realized that it's because when he was younger, those kind of things were not readily available. So when you got them, you had to kind of make the most of them. And he's telling himself now, when he has a takeaway, oh, what if I can't have that again? But he said to me, but I know if I want it again, I can get it. And so it's like, it's kind of, I'm understanding now why I behave in that way, because it's a belief that's deeply rooted in what I experienced as a child. But the thing is that we might bring them to the surface now, and we might think, okay, that doesn't really make sense to me anymore. That's not, it's not serving me right now. Mm-hmm. But until you bring them to the surface and are curious about them, they are going to constantly drive your behaviors. Because, we the things that happen to us as children, our experiences, we don't make we don't always contextualize them. We don't always understand what they mean at the time, but we just kind of put them in our psyche. And then we can't understand why we can't change our behaviors. And it's because we're not identifying the root of why we are behaving in that way.
Yeah. And those are the exciting kinds of progress moments that I like to see too. So you basically, you gave another example there of another way that we can, it's somewhat subjective, but that we can monitor progress, because when you see those changes in yourself, those are the kinds of things that you should celebrate more so than a 1 or 2 pound drop on the scale. It's easy to say that, but when you really stop and think about it, those things are the things that, even if you are on a journey where weight loss is important to you, those are the things, the behaviors, the milestones, the changes that you need to implement if you ever want to maintain whatever progress you make as far as the scale is concerned. And so that's why I love to see those things. And I had kind of similar experience just yesterday with a client, and sharing how she was going out for Mexican food, and she knows that when she goes out for Mexican food, that she always tended to eat much more than she needed to. But in this case, she went with the intent of, she would either eat more than she needed to, or she would go on the light side and get like grilled chicken and a salad or something like that. So not what she really wanted when she was going for Mexican food. And so she said, in working together, she's at this good place where she said, I know that you would have told me, go eat what you want, pick the meal that you want, because she doesn't eat out all the time. And so I was like, yep, that's right. And so she said, so I went with the intent of, I'm picking exactly what I want. I don't care how many calories it is, but I'm going to, because I know that half of that meal, half of any of those meals is going to be plenty for me. So she went and she had them box up half of it up front, set it off to the side. She ate the half that she knew was enough, because she knows her body enough, knows it well enough to know, based on previous experience, that was going to be enough. And sure enough, when she ate it, she said, yeah, I was totally satisfied. It was amazing. It was delicious. And then she even took it and then shared it with her mom later. took the other half. And then so she was really excited about that. And then she shared another moment where she said, I decided to go shopping, and I said I wasn't going to buy any clothes right now, but I decided to go shopping and went shopping and tried on a shirt, and I fit into a medium now instead of a large. And she hasn't weighed in weeks, which is fantastic. She's gone from the very much the scale mindset to now not weighing. And then also, like I said, she put that on, and she said, what, I was really tempted to go jump on the scale and say, okay, clearly I lost some weight, even though she hasn't necessarily really been focused on that. But she said, I know what it's going to do. If I jump on the scale and it's not exactly as much as I think it should have dropped, then it's going to suck all the air out of my excitement for kind of these changes I made. And so she said, so I didn't do it because it wasn't going to change anything that I was doing anyway. And so those are the kinds of progress moments that I love to see, that because not only did she listen to her body as far as how much food she needed, and not necessarily at the moment, but knowing historically how food makes her feel. She made that decision on how much was probably going to be appropriate for a lunchtime. She ate what she wanted, exactly what she wanted. It wasn't diet food. And then she managed to stay away from the scale, even after she saw some progress there, and tempted to go see, hey, I wonder if I lost 5 pounds or 2 pounds or 3, but knowing what it was going to do to her mentally, she just avoided it. So those are just examples of things that I love to see when clients are sharing things, or when people share different experiences going on in their life, because I know those are the things that are going to keep her on the right path. And you can just hear the excitement and the joy in her voice talking about those things that you don't hear. Those are the things that I hear now constantly, almost every day as we're interacting back and forth. Where as a scale, you only hear that on the day that the scale drops. But if it doesn't drop the next week, you don't hear that. That joy is gone.
Yeah, and also as well, it's never good enough.
Right.
Just me, who has relentlessly pursued thinness.
Mm-hmm.
It's never good enough. You'll get to weight. You'll either, you'll either never quite make your target. The amount of clients that say to me, I seem to just self-sabotage when I get close to my target, and there are reasons behind that, and I unpick that with them. And then there is, of course, then there's the whole, even if you do get there, it's never good enough. You just want a little bit more. Just want this, So there is never that. It's only ever transient, basically. Yeah. And again, because you can't, once you change your mindset and your thinking, okay, it's not as if it's not, obviously you do always have to make sure that you're being mindful about things, but it's not going to be suddenly taken away from you like that number on the scale. Mm-hmm. I remember one of my clients saying to me how she fought, I say fought, and I mean fought, because she literally, she said she was miserable for months and months and months to try and get to her goal weight. And she said it only ever happened to her once, but she says she remembers while she was pursuing this particular weight that she wanted to be, she remembers never being able to enjoy food with her husband and her son. She used to sit there, and that she used to be, constantly feel left, like she was leaving. She was just miserable because she constantly felt out. And she said, I felt ecstatic for literally a day. She said, because my dress managed to fit. She goes, literally that day I felt great. The next day, immediately I just felt, because, as soon as that happened, I would quickly slip back into my old habits. It wasn't good enough. She said, so it was just like this flash of, there you go, get your goal weight. And then all of a sudden it was taken away from her, because probably she was never meant to be at that weight. If it was so difficult for her to get there, and, so it's just, when you can focus on, like you say, on kind of how it's impacting on the way that you're living your life, because at the end of the day, scales, they're not a behavior, are they? Whereas the way that you think will impact on your behaviors. And I had a message today, actually, that reminds me, from one of the ladies from my group. And she was just saying about how it's been half term for her. She's a teacher, so she's been off. And she said it's been really, really lovely to go out and not have the guilt and the shame about having the food that she wants to eat, because obviously places are open now. Mm-hmm. And she said, and even her friend had noticed how differently she talks about food and how more relaxed she is around it and stuff like that. She was like, oh, tell her I was working with you, I was talking about what, but it's just so nice to hear that, because I know this is a lady who's been struggling with diets for all of her adult life.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing what our mental health and our mindset does. And when you talk to somebody who's going through therapy, mental health therapy, something completely unrelated to nutrition, that nutrition's not even in the picture, but they're dealing with mental health struggles, and you see the progress that they make, and when these light bulb moments go off, and as they uncover different things that are related to their mental health, and just the joy and the excitement that it brings into their life. And we see those similar kinds of things when people make those transitions in the way that they're thinking about food and those things, because these are things that you can't escape. You can't escape your thoughts and the things going on in your head, and you can't escape food. Food is something that's always going to be there. It's there 3 to 6 times a day. It's there in every social situation. It's there in every family gathering, and so you can't avoid it. And so, if you're in this,
food anyway,
exactly. I mean, yeah, but it's not like some things where you can just like not drink alcohol anymore, or not do drugs anymore.
I've got the champagne killing. I've got another report. I've got one more. I've got one more meeting after this, and although most of my plans this weekend have been cancelled.
Oh, really?
Champagne cake this weekend. Am I going to feel bad and guilty on Monday? No, I might be feeling a bit like, I need some good food now. But
yeah, but going into it exactly how you're going to feel with that,
and be able to celebrate. Mm-hmm. I've got a client who's really struggling with her eating, and it was a family member's birthday last week, and I had this conversation. She was freaking out a little bit about it. She was like, there's going to be like pastries for breakfast, there's going to be takeaway, there's going to be cake, and and she was freaking out about it. Like, and again, one of my group clients recently, it was her birthday, and she was freaking out about it. And I just said, just remember, there's nothing, what you do on one day is not going to have an impact on anything really. Mm-hmm. And then do you like food? Yeah, I love food. So enjoy it, celebrate it, be relaxed, and just remember that you're not going, you're going to look back and you're going to have regrets around not enjoying one of these, because, how many birthdays do you get to spend, either your own or with your family? I remember, the dark days, I call them the dark days, when I wouldn't even have a piece of cake on my own birthday, mm-hmm. And I look back now and I just think how futile, because what difference would that have made? And I've just missed out on that experience now, and there's not a chance I'm going to be laid on my deathbed thinking, well done, Becky, for avoiding that piece of cake. Mm-hmm. No, I'm going to look back and remember all the memories rather than thinking about how miserable I was for beating myself up about these things. But anyway, going back to the client, I had this session with her the day before, and she was like, I don't know, I'm going to have to compromise, I'm going to have to do X, Y, Z. And I said, what, just don't, be mindful, set yourself up, but just because I'm saying to you, go and enjoy it, doesn't mean to say you have to have a huge piece of cake and, right. And lots of pastry. Just have a bit of what you like and listen to what your body's telling you. And, and it was amazing anyway, because the next day she emailed me and she was like, what, I had it all. It was great. And, and it did mean that in the evening, because, she's supposed to be sticking to a structure. And she said in the evening, she didn't have her bedtime snack because mm-hmm. she was full, but that's okay, because obviously she'd enjoyed the day. She had a lovely day. And I guess my point here is that food wasn't controlling how she felt that day. And it just was amazing to hear that. That to me is amazing progress. Yeah. Being able to enjoy, celebrate and be at ease on a family member's birthday, that is progress. And I love it. I love it when that happens. I love it when a client is like, I enjoyed it. There was no guilt. And I had one client going, oh my God, I went to my sister's today. It's her birthday. And she's got two birthday cakes. And that's okay. That's great. She's got 2 birthday cakes. One of my clients there was freaked out because she got 2 birthday cakes. I'm like, you don't have to go and eat them all at once. Right. In fact, if it ends up that you end up having to throw some in the bin, so be it. Don't get freaked out about it. Just enjoy it. Have what you want of each. Give the rest away. Don't eat it all if you want it. Just don't let it stress you out.
Yeah, and that's another area that I love to see that progress is being able and this is a good way that you can notice this in yourself. And I've been really excited about this in myself relatively recently, because I've always struggled to some degree with when there are sweets around in basically eating all of them. Now, I don't feel guilty. I never felt guilty about it, but I knew that it's really not the best way to go about things. Now that I'm approaching adulthood, I'm almost 50 now, so I'm approaching. Yeah,
today.
I'm slowly approaching adulthood. I think I have another 10 years to go after that. But so. That's an area that I've personally been working on lately, just in the way that I've been thinking and really tuning in much more when I'm eating those sweets and stuff. And yesterday it was actually a really good example where it really stood out to me. I got, of all places, Walmart has these amazing sugar cookies. I think I've mentioned them before because they're so good. And they're and they're $1 for 3 of them. And they're just, I don't even know how they're so amazing for being a Walmart cookie. But anyway, so I got those, and yeah, it used to be that I would just down all 3 of them, and not a big deal. But yesterday I ate one and I really took time to savor it. And then I actually brought them home and asked my wife if she wanted to have one, because she hadn't even tasted them before. And that's something I never would have done before. And so for me, that was like kind of a really good progress moment. And I didn't even miss it. I didn't sit there thinking, gosh, I wish I had one more. I just wish I had one more. I really I'd eaten it. I was satisfied. I asked myself, will I enjoy this moment more if I eat 2 more? And I was like, no, really, I thoroughly enjoyed that one cookie. And so those are that's another example of a kind of a progress moment. And I know when I see that with clients I work with or other people that I've been maybe interacting with on social media and sharing a similar experience where they're like, yeah, you know what? I went out to a restaurant and I took half of it home. I've never done that before. So for me, again, that's another, it's kind of an objective sort of a progress moment. And those are exciting. And so it's also something that's going to set you up for success.
They are exciting. And I tell you what, like I said, in the past when I have, maybe kind of been caught up in the whole trying too hard to help clients lose weight and things like that, I didn't get the same pleasure and satisfaction out of seeing progress as I do now.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know now that, kind of helping people to see outside of that, helping people to see just, how much more important all of the other areas progress are, has such an impact on all areas of their life and those around them, which brings us straight back to where we started, really, doesn't it?
Yeah. As a coach, it's so it's so much less frustrating than when I got started in this, number of years back, where my focus was on the weight loss, also on the scale changes, whether it was up or down or maintaining, and I would get stuck on that too. So as a coach, I would feel like a failure if that scale number wasn't changing, and then me trying to encourage someone else, hell, don't worry about it. Let's not get so stuck on the scale, but yet I'm getting stuck on the scale. And so now it's, even as a coach, I can say that that's progress that I've made over the last couple of years too, which is looking for and immediately recognizing those non-scale related progress moments and joyful moments that I can encourage and get excited about. Now it's kind of funny when a client shares something, hey, I dropped 2 pounds. I'm like, cool. But when they share something like I mentioned earlier about some habit change or a mindset change, I'm like telling them how proud I am of them and excited about it, and just really firing them up over that. Because for me, it's kind of like, okay, yeah, you dropped 2 pounds. Yeah, that's the easy stuff. The cool stuff is the whole mindset shift. That's the hard stuff. And when that happens, I just get really excited. So I have to say for myself, I think I've made progress in that area too, in just the way how I encourage and where I get excited and everything too.
Yeah, well, we're always learning. I'm always learning every day. I learn from my clients. I learn through, reading to serve my clients. We're learning every day. I mean, even just on that note, 2 things I want to mention there. But on that note about you said then, I'm doing my workshops again, aren't I? Starting next week on Monday. And I'm looking back already. I only did them like December, January time, but already I'm looking back and I'm thinking, I've moved on a bit. not that any of it's not right now, but there's more, I've got more context, or I've got more to add to it, or I'm going to jig it about a bit, because I'm thinking already I can see, shifts in the way I do things for the better. And there's nothing wrong with what I was doing, but some of it I just understand better. Some of it, has played out a little bit better. So, I think, and this is the thing, we're always learning and evolving. And when we're curious about things, we can continue to make change, can't we? And, and realize this is a journey and it's not just a program. But the other thing I wanted to mention there as well is when my clients do say to me, oh, I've lost the scales, and I like you, I'm like, oh yeah, well done. What did you do? What went well for you this week? How did you? So if they turn around and go, oh, I don't really know, really. Whereas if they're like, oh, I made sure that I ate every day. Lunch I ate regularly. I did this. I did, and then I'd be like, brilliant. They're the things that I need to be celebrating. Not the scale.
Yeah. Yep, that's so important. And you're just sharing some of those things about learning and growing in specifically the work related area with your delivery of your workshops and that kind of thing. I think that those are the kinds of things that resonate with a lot of people. I think all of us acknowledge that as we learn and grow, we kind of improve how we handle different situations, whether it's our job or our family life. But then when it comes to the food thing, we often get, we get stuck on that one area. But if we can kind of take a step back and look at nutrition, food, physical activity, all of those things in the same way that we look at job improvements and other improvements in areas of our life and in relationships and all of that, and understand there's that it's those more meaningful kinds of changes and shifts in our thinking and all of that really are going to sustain it. And it sustains us in our job growth. It sustains us in our nutrition. And those are the kinds of progress things, again, that I think that we were hoping to bring to the forefront here as far as celebrating those things. So I guess we are coming kind of toward the end of our episode today. So did you have anything else that you'd like to add? Maybe mention your workshop again?
Oh yeah. That wasn't a shameless plug. It was genuinely.
No, it should be though. Should be a plug.
Yeah. No, but one thing I wanted to add on that is just a little. When you said then about everything spilling over into other areas of life, is I had some great feedback from one of my clients this week who said, "I love these sessions because they're not just about." And this is what so many of my clients say: the work that we do, together has such an impact on all areas of my life, and it's like, yeah, because I know that all of that is impacting on on you being able to manage your nutrition. Yep. So it really is looking at the whole person, isn't it? And the scales, just focus on the scales, doesn't do that necessarily.
Right.
There are some, I'm not saying there are probably, some great coaches out there, some, there really, really will be some great coaches out there that's, are focused on the scales, but are still looking at the whole person.
Yeah,
but,
absolutely.
Yeah. So I just want to say that as well. But yeah, no, my workshops. Yes. So I've got my workshop starting a week on Monday. So the 26th of April, all three 1-hour sessions that are going to look at mindset, your behaviors, and also look at, the best way to fuel yourself nutritionally. And they are all 3 sessions for £40. And yeah, I can probably put them in the link.
Yeah, definitely. We will include that link. And so thank you all for joining us again. We look forward to talking with you again soon about another important topic.